It is 23 minutes before the hour. Toots' Tips brought to you by the Huddle House. And I know you played golf yesterday. Did you make it to the Huddle House prior to or earlier in the week?
Sure did. My buddy and me, Ronnie Miner, went out there. We got there pretty early on Wednesday morning. I got there about 6:30, and of course had to wait on him. But I had plenty of hot coffee to drink, and I had a big house breakfast, and that spurged me through the day. So. All in all, a great day. Good, it's always good to start at the Huddle House when you get you something good to eat and some good hot coffee to drink. And got to chat with some people out there. Some I didn't even know, but I talked to them anyway.
That doesn't seem to bother you,
does it? It doesn't bother me at all. But at any rate, I want to say hello to Lee. I know Lee is one of the ladies who comes out there. We meet every Wednesday, and she sits right across from us, and most of the time we chit-chat while we're eating breakfast. But nice to see her, and
now, the big house breakfast, that's a big breakfast now.
It is. It just consists of 3 eggs and my choice with sausage and grits.
How do you get your eggs cooked?
Over medium.
What does that mean now?
That means in a hurry. And they are. They're real prompt. And Jim, it's just, you've eaten there. It's just a great place. If you hadn't tried it, take my recommendation and please go by and see Doug and them. You will not be disappointed.
I'll tell you, it's been a good year for Toots' Tips. 113 and 52. You were 12 and 5 last week after a couple of rocky weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like playing golf. You're going to have some good days and bad days. Luckily with this, it's just been a couple of bad days. And so.
What do you think about the Iron Bowl? A lot of points scored.
Well, I never would have dreamed it. First and foremost, I just didn't think a Nick Saban-type defense would give up 44 points. That's almost unheard of. And I talked to my buddy yesterday, and I said, how long has it been since an Alabama defense has given up 44 points? And he couldn't remember. And he goes to every football game in Alabama plays, wherever. But he said, I'm going to get on the computer and look it up because it's been a very long, long time. And, of course, Nick Saban said after the ball game, you don't give up 44 points most of the time and win. So I told Ronnie yesterday, I said, I feel sorry for them defensive players. They're probably going through the devil this week for giving up that many points. But on the other hand, Alabama scored 5 straight times when they had the football, and Auburn was kicking field goals, and they was getting touchdowns.
It hurt Auburn in the first half when they were down there many times and had to settle for field goals.
I know 4 or 5 times they were in the so-called red zone and had to come away with field goals. Now, I give a attaboy to the field goal kicker. He didn't miss one. But still, when they score a touchdown and you're kicking field goals, that's not going to get it done. But then on the other hand, Jim, Alabama comes out in the second half and 5 straight possessions, they put points on the board, touchdown. They did not kick a field goal all day. So
wasn't much punting going on for either team.
No, there wasn't. Both teams, and I just couldn't believe that Auburn moved the ball on Alabama like they did. But then on the other hand, I can't believe that now departed Ellis Johnson tried to cover the Cooper kid one-on-one all day when nobody in the country can do it. And Auburn sure didn't do it, and he really burnt their defense.
And kind of cost Johnston his job, too, after a tough year defensively.
I think that Nick Saban finally told Lane Kiffin, said, we're going to run at them, and they did. And we've talked about their defense is very vulnerable, and I think when Alabama just started running the football straight at them, that was a turning point in the football game.
Ellis Johnson out as defensive coordinator, looking more and more like Will Muschamp from Florida.
Well, he was at Auburn one time and done an outstanding job. I hope he comes back. I understand there's some few issues that they got to get ironed out before he can get there, but he would be an asset to Auburn University. A lot of folks don't want to see him come for the simple reason he puts a good defense on the field. He left Auburn, went out to Texas. And they said out there that he was a coach and waiting for Mac Brown's job, but when that didn't transpire, he left and went to Florida as a head football coach. And Jim, it's no secret. First-year head coaches at a major college like that usually don't do too good. I know when you follow somebody who's won a lot of football games.
And not every time do assistant coaches make good head coaches.
No, they do not. I can remember Mike Dubose, for an example, at Alabama. A great defensive coordinator, but when they made him head coach, boy, I'm telling you, the Alabama faithful turned on him in a New York minute. Same situation with Mike Shula. But I think now, you got to have some experience. Malzahn at Auburn is just one of those rare exceptions that he stepped right in and started having success. So, but again, Alabama won the football game 55-44. In case you've been under a rock, my prediction was Auburn would win on a late field goal, 23-20. That was blown out the window the first quarter. So.
What about you got the SEC championship, Alabama and Missouri, and only people that are diehard Missouri fans giving the Tigers any hope?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Malk, I think is a kid's name out there that throws the football around pretty good. I don't see how he could throw it any better than the kid from Auburn did this past week. But I think that they're going to be smart enough to double cover Cooper all day. Alabama, I think, will run the football. I don't believe they'll give up 44 points to Missouri. For whatever reason that happened against Auburn, I don't know. But you can bet that the defensive scheme will be somewhat different. Alabama won the football game. They could win it handily.
Let's get to some other matchups brought to you by the Huddle House, Toots' Tips. We began with number 7 Arizona, and this is a big football game. Number 7 Arizona, the only team to beat Oregon as a rematch for the conference championship.
Well, I don't know if that was a fluke that they beat Oregon the first time. Oregon right now is playing about as well as anybody in the country.
Now they'll ring up some points.
Oh, it don't take them long either. But I really, it's hard to go back and beat a team the second time in the same year. I like the Oregon Ducks to take care of business.
Oregon has one of the premier quarterbacks in the country.
I think he's a front runner for the Heisman.
Arizona with Rich Rodriguez just being named this week as Conference Coach of the Year. So.
Yeah, well, he went from the penthouse to that house, now back to the penthouse. So, it's just, I guess, the location where he may be, but he's done a great job there at Arizona.
Iowa State, do they stand a chance at all against number 3 TCU?
I don't think so. TCU could put some points on the board in a hurry, too. The Hawkeyes, I saw them play the other day, and I was impressed a little bit with them, but TCU, the Horned Frogs, boy, they can do it in a hurry. TCU will win that ball game.
Of course, TCU, the number 3 seed, is in the 4 playoff teams as it stands right now. And
well, Florida State dropped to 4th, did they not?
I tell you, they don't get no respect, do they?
They Roger Dangerfield, but
hey, if they keep winning, they'll keep falling, I guess.
Well, it's what they call put-up time now. And Jimmy, I'm going to be honest with you, and this is, again, my own opinion. I really do think that these so-called folks who are putting all this together, they're trying to keep this thing like in a region. If Alabama beats Missouri, Florida beats Georgia Tech, that game's going to be played in New Orleans, which is a central location for both schools. And I really do think that's really coming to this somewhat. So I don't know, but look out, the Seminoles. I watched Georgia Tech play Georgia the other day, and they run a triple option pretty well.
Speaking of that ACC championship, it is number 4 Florida State at number 11 Georgia Tech, and are taking on Georgia Tech. I think that's played in North Carolina.
I think so, in Charlotte, North Carolina.
But Georgia Tech gave Georgia every opportunity to win the football game, and Georgia just did some. Coach Rick just did some uncharacteristic type things, and not are calling a timeout when the clock would have ran out, and they kind of helped the Georgia Tech along.
Yes, they did. Again, we've seen this deal with Jameis Winston pop up again about what some of the things he done down there, and will this affect him? It hadn't all year. Playing on a neutral site in Charlotte, North Carolina. I think Florida State gets it done, but again, old Jimbo Fisher, they're undefeated. They started number 1. Nobody's beaten them, and they're now at number 4.
A lot of people across the country are pulling for Georgia Tech.
Oh yeah, and I made this statement. I don't like Jimbo Fisher. I don't like the ethics that they do at Florida State and allowing the things to go on that has gone on. Certainly, I don't think that would go on at Alabama and Auburn, and certainly not Georgia, the way Mark Richt disciplined his kids. I just think the foot should have been put down early about all the stuff that Winston got into. But again, give him credit. He will not win the Heisman Trophy, but he's a good football player.
Marshall, the Thundering Herd, they were unbeaten going into last week's game.
Western
they lose 67-66 or something, and they're playing La Tech in the conference title.
Well, Marshall's played pretty well. I think that was Western Kentucky or something.
Yeah, maybe so.
They're what now?
The scoreboard.
Yeah, they're 11-1 or 10-1, whatever the case may be. But they put some points on the board too. I just like the La Tech or Louisiana Tech. I like Marshall in this one.
Tommy Tuberville and the Cincinnati Bearcats taking on Houston for the conference title this weekend.
Well, mark this one down and take it to the bank. Old Tubby's going to get one done.
Oklahoma State at number 20 Oklahoma. This is a regular season game.
Yeah.
The finale for those two, and boy, you know, they say some of these things you can throw out the window, throw the record out the window. I don't know so much about Oklahoma State this year. They've been hurt by injuries all year.
They have, and Oklahoma will they'll run wild and put some points on the board. I like Oklahoma to take care of the Cowboys.
Oklahoma, the defending national champion. No,
No.
Florida State.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma beat Alabama in what, the Sugar Bowl last year, or what, some kind of bowl?
It was some bowl that Alabama got beat in
Alabama
by
didn't
Oklahoma.
show up in, but kind of funny how things change and times change. But number 9 Kansas State at number 6 Baylor. Baylor jockeying to get in that Final Four.
Yep. And this may be one of the marquee games that we'll see all weekend. I've had the opportunity to see Kansas State play on several occasions. You know, they played Auburn early in the season, and if we touched on about having chances to win, certainly had a lot of chances to beat Auburn, didn't get it done. But they got a real good football team. I just tell you, if there's an upset, this may be one of them. Kansas State's got a good defensive football team. Baylor's got a good offensive football team. But I'm going to go out on a limb and go with the K-State.
All right. Number 13, Wisconsin at number 5, Ohio State. Ohio State right on the fringe of that top 4 too.
Well, you can scratch them now. They will not make it. They lost their one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Who was replacing another great quarterback and a possible Heisman candidate before he got hurt in the fall camp.
Again, so now you're looking at number 3 quarterback in a big ball game like this. The Badgers, they've been playing well all year. They just got some of them big old cornbread-fed kids, and they play extremely well. I like the Badgers in this one.
Fresno State at number 22, Boise State. They play on that green field or blue field or whatever that is.
I think it's blue. And they play pretty well there, too. I saw a game the other night. I forget who they were playing, but don't remember who it was. But anyway, I really don't like to watch a ball game on that field. It just, I don't know, to me it just takes away from college football to playing on a ding-dong blue field. And then they got them blue jerseys on.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if that,
blur, isn't it?
I don't know if that benefits them or not, but Boise State's hard to beat at home, and I'll stay with the.
All right, Boise State over Fresno State. We quickly get back to number 1 Alabama. First time Alabama's been number 1. There's been Florida State, Alabama, and Mississippi State. 3 number 1s this season. Alabama number 1 this week, and they're playing number 16 Missouri. It'll be a pro-Alabama crowd at the Georgia Dome.
Well, again, a lot of people will show up, and I know I've talked to Ronnie, the guy I play golf with. They already got their bus loaded up, going to go over. And it's a big time of the year. The state of Georgia, city of Atlanta, they'll profit very well from this.
I-20 will be crowded.
No doubt about it. But Alabama, I think, Jim, is a better football team. They've played well all year. They had a little hiccup against the Ole Miss Rebels, but this is a real good football team. They've got a symbol over there. Sims has really been a huge surprise.
And who would have thought it coming out of the spring game? He didn't look good. A lot of people were looking at the kid from Florida State to come in and unseat him. And he's made some mistakes, but he's made the big plays when he needed to make them.
Well, he has. Against Auburn, he had 3 interceptions early. But again, they turned into field goals. But then when he got hot. He and Cooper just started lighting that scoreboard up. But he throws the ball well, and an added dimension that Alabama's not had with a quarterback is his legs.
How does Saban keep winning year after year after year like this?
It's called blue chip recruits. He gets what he wants. And, he's the motto over there, if you want to be a national champion, come to Alabama. And but he goes out and gets real good football players. He gets the type players who can do what he wants done, not just because they're a good athlete. And but athleticism at Alabama, they just run in the cupboard's full, and it's going to be full. They got another probably the #1 recruiting class this year. They got a kid from coming out of California. Is probably going to step in and play at Alabama next year. So the guy from Florida State should have stayed down there. He might would have got to start a game or two down there, but they really got a hot shot quarterback somewhere. I don't know if it's Los Angeles or where it's coming from, but they're supposed to really have a good one. And again, just a top-notch recruiting class for the University of Alabama.
Auburn, arguably the toughest schedule in the nation this year, but who would have thought Auburn would have lost 4 games?
Well, the games they lost, first to Texas A&M, I just didn't see it happening. I just couldn't understand why they did, and then I don't know if the effects from that game affected them against Georgia. I don't know, but Georgia just had their way with them. They played pretty well at times against Alabama. But again, we've touched on it already. Field goals won't beat touchdowns. I think Gus Malzahn's done a good job with what he's got. He's got some class receivers. They're probably going to be gone. Their running back will be gone, but the kid from Oxford will probably step in and be their running back next year. So Auburn's got some good stock. They got some good kids coming. Get them a defensive coordinator. I think they'll be okay. UAB, we didn't touch on that.
Well, we got about 30 seconds. Surprised that they shut the football program down.
I am, but I told you earlier it wouldn't surprise me if they did, due to the fact there was no people in the stands. But you take an Auburn playing at home, Alabama playing at home, UAB sort of in the center, they don't stand a dog's chance of drawing a large crowd. Well, just won't happen.
Hate to see it happen, though. But Toots' Tips brought to you by the Huddle House. Always a pleasure. And your championship team, right quickly.
The University of Alabama.